Chef Paul Lillakas is in our kitchen today, and he's got a tasty twist on sliders. I love this because we think of sliders as being beef burgers, right?
Beef burgers or even pulled pork sliders, but you know those awesome chunky veal parm sandwiches you can get at like an Italian deli?
Yes, and it takes you a week to eat them.
Oh, maybe you.
Maybe.
But no, I know what you mean. You can cut it in half and keep half for dinner.
Yeah.
This is a version of that, but not made with veal. It's a pork Parmigiana slider, and instead of using a big cutlet of pork loin, for example, I'm using little medallions of pork tenderloin, which are perfectly shaped for the bun.
They are, and I'm so glad that you're doing this today because just last week, like pork tenderloin was on sale, so I cut up a bunch and put it in the freezer, and now I'm like, what am I going to do with it? And then you get here, and it's like, oh, this is what I'm going to do with it.
It was meant to be.
Yes.
And in general, pork is just the cheaper option, right? And so it's great if people are trying to, tighten the budget a little bit around holiday entertaining. So it all starts with these little medallions here, and I've spared you the trouble of watching me bread them because it's very simple. I've sliced the medallions, I've tossed it in a little bit of seasoned flour, egg, and then into some seasoned breadcrumbs.
Okay, so do you just kind of wash it in the egg then, and then you put it in the breadcrumbs,
exactly.
Right? Okay.
Dip, 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 and then you end up with these. And all I've done is shallow fried them in a little bit of canola oil until they're golden brown, and because they're so thin, that's really the only indicator you need to know that they're done.
Right, and these are really, really thin. And you didn't pound them out or anything. You cut them like, what is that?
A centimeter.
Okay, all right.
Or so, and they're so tender because pork tenderloin is just so naturally tender. You don't need to tenderize it at all. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a little bit of this Stefano Faita arrabbiata sauce, which is
so it's got a little bit of a kick.
Exactly, it's got that spice. And this is made with tomatoes from Italy, but it's made here in Canada. And it's got no preservatives or added colors, and just a little bit of bocconcini cheese right on top. And then I put them under the broiler and just let that cheese melt. And now we're ready to build our slider.
Okay, we've got a little brioche buns here.
Yes,
I love brioche buns.
Me too. So I'm adding a little more of that sauce just onto the bun, just to give it some moisture, add that flavor, and then some caramelized onions, which I'll put on, and then you want to put some roasted red peppers on.
Sure.
So these are just adding.
Do I do it on the other side? Well, I guess if I
put it right here.
Right there, yeah. Because if I do it on the other side, it's going to make a mess when we close it.
They're gonna be a little messy. It's totally fine. That goes right on top. And then a little bit of spinach leaves or arugula, whatever you got, just to add a pop of green.
Oh.
And then you pop that right on top just like that.
Just go through there.
Yeah. How gorgeous is that?
That's awesome. And then how many, if you're making these for people, how many would you make per person?
I'd maybe make, 1 to 2 per person. It depends. If it's a potluck with a bunch of other things, maybe 1 per person. If it's, just the only appetizer for a hungry group, maybe 2 per person.
Okay.
Because also you could wrap them up, save them for later, or you can make these ahead and then just lightly cover them and heat them up slowly in the oven. So if you're bringing it to somebody's house, that way they will warm up and the buns will get a little steamy.
Oh, so you would put the buns in the oven too?
Yeah, but covered.
But covered,
but
okay.
Just lightly covered with foil. And and then you could add extra sauce after if you wanted. You don't want the buns to get soggy, but you just, so you gotta watch that, the sort of amounts of each ingredient on the bun.
Okay, and another great thing, because we got about a minute left here, another great thing you were saying is that you can do just the tenderloin, like just do it maybe the day ahead of time.
Yeah.
And then that's out of the way if you've got lots of other cooking to do.
Totally.
That's, the kitchen is kind of cleaned up a little bit. And then you could move on to this step.
Exactly.
Right?
You could just pop them on, top it with that sauce, top it with the cheese. You could even use shredded mozzarella or whatever cheese you got around, and then just pop it in the oven when it's maybe half an hour out, and then build them and then throw them out. As you can see, it doesn't take long to build them.
No, not at all.
Yeah. And I love this kind of cooking because it's unique, but it's not hard to do.
Okay, it looks fancy.
Yeah.
But now we know the secret.
And I want to mention, these sauces are available at Sobeys, so the whole line is available at Sobeys. And I was also thinking about gift giving this season, and I love food gifts, especially at a time like this when you don't necessarily know what to buy, you don't want to spend huge amounts of money, a few jars of tomato sauce,
that's awesome.
a bottle of wine, some pasta.
Okay, we're done in our kitchen. Time to eat.
Let's go.
Thanks, Paul.